This is Iris Martinez, an interviewer for the Iowa State University Special Collections and University Archives Voces of a Pandemic Oral History Project. Today is April 15th, 2021. I am interviewing Maria from Ames, Iowa, while she is in Washington State. Please know, Maria, that this interview will be placed in the Iowa State University libraries and shared with the Voces Oral History Center at the University of Texas at Austin. If there's anything you don't wish to answer or talk about, I'll honor your wishes. Because we are not conducting this interview in person, I need to record you consenting. So I'll ask you a series of 5 questions. Please say yes, I agree, or no, I do not agree after each one. There are 2 questions we need to make sure you agree to before we go on. Voces wishes to archive your interview along with any other photographs and other documentation at the Benson Library at UT Austin. We will retain copyright of the interview and any other materials you donate to Voces. So first question is, do you agree to give Voces consent to archive your interview and your materials at the Benson Library?
Yes.
Okay. Do you grant Voces copyright over the interview and any material you provide?
Yes.
Okay. Do you agree to allow us to post this interview on the internet where it may be viewed by people around the world?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We have many questions in a pre-interview form that we have already filled out. We use that information from the pre-interview form to help in research. The entire form is kept in a secure Voces server. Before we send it to Benson, we would have stripped out any contact information for yourself or your family members. So that will not be part of your public file. Your public file will only be accessible at the Benson Library. Do you wish for us to share the rest of your interview in your public file available to researchers at the Benson University?
Yes.
On occasion, Voces receives requests from journalists who wish to contact your interview subjects. We only deal with legitimate news outlets. Do you give consent for us to share your phone number or your email with journalists?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, now let's start with some of the questions that we have for you. Could you tell me a little bit about your COVID experience?
Well, the first time I experienced COVID was my senior year, which was 2020. Um, I play soccer, so I remember we were starting practices for soccer, and then next thing you know, we started hearing about like COVID for the first time, and I didn't think it was like that serious at first, and then they canceled their practices, and I remember it was on a Thursday, so we were supposed to have our first soccer game on a Friday, but they canceled it, so we were like, "Oh, it's fine." That weekend we were starting our spring break, I believe. So we were like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go back to school, it's gonna be normal." And then eventually we never went back to school, and it kind of sucked because it was my senior year. I didn't really get to experience like prom and all of that. And then they started social distancing and like wearing masks. Um, my mom got sick too from COVID, and it was like really, really bad. That was like one of the first times that I ever seen her like sick like that. And then my sister got sick from COVID, but it wasn't that intense because like she had like a stronger immune system than my mom.
Yeah. Okay. Can you tell me how you first learned about COVID?
I first learned about it. It was I was on YouTube. I was like scrolling through YouTube, and then I seen a video of COVID, and I was like, oh dang, like this is for real serious. But like the very, very first time I think I heard about it was school, and like that was like the reason why we canceled soccer practices. So that's when I kind of like realized, oh, like this is like a real thing.
Yeah. Wow. What was your like initial reaction to the information about COVID? Like, what were you feeling when you first heard about it?
At first I didn't think it was that serious. I was like, oh, it's okay. It's just gonna be like it's like a little flu, a little, you know, it's just something going around that's gonna go away. And then next thing you know, like I realized that like younger kids and stuff and like older people were getting affected and like dying from it. And like my mom got super sick from it. So then that's when I was like, whoa,
Yeah, of
this
course.
is crazy.
That makes sense. So you kind of already touched on it, but at what point did you realize it was serious, or how did you realize, or to this day, do you think it's still serious?
So like my mom got COVID when it like very first came out, like when we started hearing about it the first time. So that's when I kind of realized that it was serious because like she never gets sick. So when she like got super sick, I was like, dang, like I'm actually pretty concerned because like she couldn't breathe at times, like her lungs, like she was having problems with her lungs. Like from how bad she was sick, she got bronchitis,
Oh, okay.
from like coughing a lot. So yeah, and then like my sister got sick, so she didn't go, like she didn't really, it was like weird for her to get sick too because she never got sick either.
Yeah,
But eventually like it didn't hit like anybody else in the family, so that was pretty good.
that's good. Glad for that. Um, let's move on to some daily impacts. Um, so you talked about a little bit how COVID impacted your family. Do you know how
hmm
maybe COVID impacted people who don't live in the United States? Do you have family outside of the United States? Do you know anything about that?
hmm I don't have any family outside of the United States, but I assume that it's like more, I feel like it'd be more harsh. I haven't really like truly investigated on that, but I feel like it'd be more harsh just because like their different areas are like different than the US, you know?
Yeah.
I imagine like I know there has been like a lot of discrimination um with COVID, just because like rumors and stuff like saying, oh, the Chinese people, like it's their fault and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of like a big deal.
Yeah, it is. It's been a very big deal. Um, so how has COVID impacted like any organizations you're involved with, like church, for example, or maybe um, anything else? Like you talked about
Um,
it affected soccer.
yeah, it affected soccer, and then like it did affect me going to church because I'm usually those people that go to church every Sunday. So then when I couldn't attend church, it was like it kind of made me fall off of that of like going to church and stuff because like attending church virtually was like it's so much different than actually like attending it in person. So honestly, ever since COVID, I haven't really been that religious as I used to be. It kind of sucks, but it's the truth. And then like I I joined the army in August, so COVID like affected my basic training. Um it like we didn't have the same experience as like other people did in basic training. I know there was like we had it like I guess more lenient because of like restriction from contact with people, and then we had to wear masks the whole time and it just sucked.
Yep, I know exactly what you mean. Um, so how is going out into the world during COVID different from pre-COVID?
It's different. Like one, obviously like the masks because we're not used to that. It's now we are because it's every single day, but before it was like, wow, we have to wear these masks. It's crazy. Like this is that serious. Um, and then just like places are closed. We have to stay 6 feet apart from people. We have to be just very careful about what we touch, who we are around, and things like that.
Yeah, I'm still not used to the masks. Every day it's something like, oh my gosh, I have to put this on again. So how, if at all, has COVID impacted your ability to gather with your family and your friends, or for like important events?
Well, I haven't really been able to um like see my family in a while. Like one part is because like obviously like I'm in the military, so it's kind of hard. And then another thing is because like I can't, my dad lives in Mexico and my grandma's there, and my grandma has like lung cancer, so it's like hard for me to be around her as well because she has a weaker immune system. So if I were to catch COVID or like, bring in something, that would be like it would be a huge downfall for her.
Definitely. I see how that very dangerous to go out and visit.
Family members.
Yeah. So, have you gotten the chance to interact with any family, and why? If you have, like, who? Um,
Just honestly, I've had gotten the chance to interact just over the phone, but not in person recently. I would say like Christmas time, but we also kept like restrictions like with going out and stuff like that, just because I didn't want my family to get sick. My aunts, my uncles, stuff like that. We kind of kept it like small.
so, how do you feel about wearing masks, or how do you feel about
Yeah.
that today?
I hate wearing masks, honestly, but I don't know. I do it because I have to, and because like if it's going to help with preventing COVID, then obviously I'm going to wear it because I care about like other people's health, especially like where I'm working right now. um my boss, because I work at the post office, so my boss is like an older woman, so I know that her immune system's probably a little bit like less stronger than us, than the younger people, so I would hate for her to get sick. And then not even just like her in general, but like and just anybody else around, because lately my platoon actually has been like getting COVID, so I'm just trying to like be here in my room.
Yep. Social distancing, huh?
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about a little bit like of your education. We touched a little bit on that, but um, how's COVID-19 changed the way you or your siblings or your community receive education?
Okay, that's been kind of crazy because online, so my sisters have been doing online school and I'm doing online school, but for them mostly it's like different because they're younger than me. My middle sister's in middle school, and then my youngest is or no, my oldest sis my middle sister's in high school, my youngest sister's in middle school. So my youngest sister would have been her first time like attending middle school, so it kind of like ruined the experience for her since she has to do online. And then my middle sister in high school, it kind of sucks for her because it's her sophomore year, like high school experience and stuff like that. They don't get to have that. And then just like I feel like online has been harder because you have to interact a different way. You don't have like your resources right then and there as you would actually being in school. And then sports, there's no sports right now because of COVID.
Yeah, so
So
it
yeah,
takes away all the in life
all the fun.
experience.
Yeah.
Um, so what challenges have you faced with like being online yourself?
Um, so I never really used to be like an online type of person. I always like direct contact, like face to face contact. So that's kind of been like a not like a super big struggle, but it's been new to me to like actually just do everything online. It's a little bit more stressful just because I can't like type everything that I want to say, and it's just like I don't really do also video calls, so it's just been different for me. I like that direct face to face type
Yeah,
of
just like
thing.
the technical, like the technology and it always like breaking down on you. It's just terrible.
Yes, exactly. Like it sucks.
Yeah, it does. So are there any resources or tools that you need or your sisters needed to do well in school that are not accessible to you or your family?
Mm, I don't think so, honestly, on that.
Okay. So how, if at all, have schools helped your community during COVID-19? Like, did they distribute food? Did they provide students with
Um,
like,
yeah, so They did, like, that's one of them. They did distribute food. They've been doing, I know my sister's school were doing like free COVID testing, and then like they provided the computers and the internet and stuff like that so that they can actually attend school. Um, they have like libraries and stuff for them that they can go like one by one type of thing, but mainly everything they tried to keep everything like at home. So it's been easy, kind of.
I'm glad you guys are getting help. Um, let's move on to some healthcare. What kind of concerns or questions about healthcare have you thought of as a result of COVID?
um, well, just like mainly like with my mom, like at first I wasn't too concerned about COVID until I realized that she got super sick to the point where she actually got bronchitis. So that's kind of something you have to like live with, you know? So that was a big concern. And then health, like just like I feel like I worry a lot about like the older and like super younger generation because like the young kids that like do have a lot of that are exposed to COVID, you know, I know that they could have like more serious conditions than that.
Um, so, did it change the way you were doing or getting healthcare at all?
Um, I'm not sure how to answer that.
Okay. So like, would you guys feel like more concerned to go to the hospital or not going to the hospital? Things like that.
mm, More concerned going to the hospital.
Yeah, like just in case you would come in contact or something.
I feel like I don't know. I feel like going to the hospital or like urgent care or something like that. I feel like they've been like doing a good job at like keeping the social distancing and like restriction and washing hands and hand sanitizing, you know.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's been like pretty safe
Okay.
the times that I've gone.
Um, and have you had any mental health impact or challenges during this pandemic?
Um, I would say not necessarily mental health, but it's been kind of tough, honestly. Just because like we're like so new to this, like we didn't think this was gonna happen. Like it's just worldwide. Like we are very restricted now, so it kind of takes the fun out of things.
It does, yeah. Yeah. So, how do you feel about the vaccine? Are you planning to take it? Are you registered?
Um, Honestly, I have no idea if I want to take it or not. Right now, it's an option. Like, but I know sooner or later, like, the army's gonna make it mandatory. But right now, it's an option. So I'm not sure if I'm going to, but I know people that have, and nothing has happened to them. I know they've gotten sick. Excuse me, they've gotten sick. But personally, I'm not sure if I would take it just cause I don't think I'm ready for it.
No, that's understandable. So how, if at all, have the organizations that you're a part of provided resources regarding COVID-19? So you kind of talked about that, but did your church provide resources for COVID-19? You talked about how your school did.
Um, the schools did. I know, like here, I'm on base. They provide like free COVID testing. They like get you the help that you need in case that you are sick. If you are sick, you do quarantine, and then they provide you with people that bring you food to your barracks, things like that. You're just like not really forgotten. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Um, so considering the army life, are they very restrictive on the base, same as like
Um,
or even more possibly?
they are pretty restrictive. Um, like super restrictive. Like they do follow guidelines, wearing masks all the time. I know that they obviously, I think I mentioned that they are like providing a choice whether you can get the COVID shot or not. I know like off base, it's also very restricted, following the guidelines and stuff like that, and masks and all that. I know some places, like other states, they're like starting to be able to be without their masks and stuff. But honestly, now that we have fallen back into like get COVID's getting more serious again, they're going to like I don't think I mentioned it, but this weekend I was supposed to go to the carnival and then they were like saying that COVID's getting worse again, so they might cancel that. Um, so they've been really on top of that.
Okay. So let's move on to the next question.
Okay.
Um, so how do you believe politics affected how COVID has been handled personally?
Um, Personally, like I don't really like watch the news that much. I'm not like a super political person, but I know that it's been one of the main topics on every talk, everything, like not even just like political wise, but it's I feel like COVID has taken everything, like even taken over everything, like even TVs, news articles, everything that we talk about revolves around COVID lately. So
Yeah.
it's just been a big deal.
Yeah, so it's a big deal everywhere, especially in politics.
Hmm.
How do you think COVID has affected politics in your area or your state specifically?
Um, I'm new to this state, so I'm not really like super like up to date on that, but um yeah, I'm not really sure.
Okay. What about do you have an opinion on how COVID has affected politics nationally?
Nationally, I know that it's been like super serious. Like it's just like it's been like the talk, especially like about the vaccine and stuff like that. I know they've been working like a lot to try to like prevent the amount of cases that have been going on worldwide. I know like I'm going to Australia soon, so I was like today I was looking on the COVID cases and stuff, and there's like so many like I thought like I knew it was happening worldwide, but I didn't think it was like super super serious until like I actually looked on the world map and saw all of the states that were red on the map.
Yeah, that should be interesting when you go to Australia, huh?
Yeah.
You think things are going to be similar to the United States or?
Honestly, I feel like they're gonna be like more restricted because like that whole place, I'm going to Sydney specifically, so that whole like area was marked red because they like had the color coordinations or whatever. So that whole like area was marked red. So like I'm not sure. I feel like they will be following the COVID guidelines.
Yeah. Okay. Um, so we've already talked a little bit about your work and how do you think COVID has impacted your work?
Um, it's honestly it kind of has impacted us like mm, mainly on the fun things because like work is not normally fun, but we haven't been able like we've been trying to do like platoon like they're called like readiness days, so like you all get together with your platoon and stuff like that and go out and do fun things. Like I know like Friday we were supposed to do like a big hike, and stuff like that, but COVID kind of restricted that just because like we weren't really allowed to be out and about like without masks, and like how are you gonna hike without like with a mask on, I wouldn't be able to breathe.
Yeah, that makes sense. So obviously, you're in the army, you said, and has there been, or before maybe, has there been any like loss of work, or is there any potential loss of work with the army? I'm sure, I don't think there is with the army, but
um I'm not really sure that there is with the army. I know because like people still get paid, but I know that there's like obviously a lot of people on base that are on quarantine, so they've just kind of been home.
yeah, okay,
Mhm.
that makes sense. What about your family? Have they lost work maybe, or is it harder to find
Um,
work?
yeah, it's been really hard finding work, like especially for my dad right now because I know like Mexico is like really, really trying to be like restrictive on like areas. So he's been like jumping jobs to job. Same with my mom. Like she's been like she lost her job not too long ago because of COVID. You know, they were just trying to like lay people off. She got a new job now, which that has also been hard like being accepted to different jobs and stuff, like getting a new job. They've just been like really restrictive on that just because they don't want people that with COVID. And I know that they've been before they get hired and before they do an interview, they have you do a COVID test, a negative COVID test. So that's been tough.
Okay. That's new, huh? You have to test it before you can start a new job.
Yeah.
So obviously, some sensitive topics that we're gonna if we that we're talking about. So of course, if you don't want to talk about it or you wish not to talk about it, let me know. Um, but how about finances? Have you had any? Have you or your family have any concerns about finances?
Yes, I would say my mom, well, my dad as well, just because he hasn't been able to be at a stable job. So, like, paying the rent and stuff has been tough, especially like on my mom too, because she lives in California. So, like, rent and like things are just more expensive in California. So the fact that she has also not been at a stable job has been tough on her, making payments, car payments. I know I've had to help her a couple times. So that's been like really hard finances. For me, I don't think finances have been like too much of a trouble, but I know for my parents it has.
I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah. So you talked about um,
Mhm.
have your has your work changed, like your duties, like your has they shifted at all?
Um, I'm trying to think. Um, I don't really I don't think so. I just think we've had obviously to wear masks. We have had to like stay apart instead of having like we do have meetings, but instead of like having like close like meetings like in one room, we have to be like one chair apart type of thing.
Yeah, I understand that. Okay. So we have some other questions for you. Again, let us know. Let me know if you don't want to talk about them. But how, if at all, have the current social movements in conjunction with COVID-19 impacted your daily life? Like
Mm,
when they were having like protests when COVID first started.
I know like there were a lot of things on social media about like how like the black like I know like the Black Lives Matter movement was a big thing because it happened like during COVID.
Mm,
I know a lot of people did get sick from that as well, just like from everybody being around. I know like the protest was like for a good manner, but it also got other people sick, put other people at risk.
yeah, for sure. So what's your perspective on going out then?
Um, I do go out, but I try to like keep it like I don't try to go out as much as I used to, mainly just because I don't want to get sick. Because I know that would be bad for me because I wouldn't want to be quarantined for 2 weeks, you know. And then I really want to go on this like I really want to go to Australia, so I've been kind of just being on the low, trying not to get sick.
Yeah,
I know there's a lot of people that have been getting sick lately, and I just don't want to be one of them.
of course. Yeah, so obviously if you get tested for if you tested positive, you it restricts you. You go into quarantine. You can't go to work. You can't get deployed or anything. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yes. And then I just don't want to be like, I don't want to have any health issues, you know? Like getting sick sucks. I wouldn't want that.
Yeah. Um. So you did talk about the some of the movements that happened. Were you said you didn't involve get yourself involved in those at the time?
I didn't. Um, I didn't just because I like at the time when the movements were going on, I lived in California. I knew I like drove by a couple, but I never like I did go out, but not really outside of my car, you know what I mean? Just like to see, but I wasn't really participating in that, because of COVID. I also didn't want my mom to get sick again, so I kind of just did stay home, but the protests were going around and I just wasn't. I really didn't take part in them.
Yeah, so that answers my next question. How COVID impacted your decision to participate? Obviously, you didn't want your family getting sick, which makes sense.
Mhm.
Um, so it looks like we're at the end. Is there anything else you want to share with me about your experience with COVID that I haven't asked? Any interesting stories that you possibly have in mind?
Um, Not so, no, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think that's about it.
Okay, awesome. So I just want to thank you for taking the time to sit down with me and answering my questions. Um, I know we had some technical
Yes.
difficulties, but I really appreciate you telling me your story, Maria.
Yes, for sure. You're welcome.
All right. Have a good night, okay?
Okay, you too.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye bye.